Rassie, morning, Caden.
Morning.
There's a lot to unpack, Rassie, but let's start with the 5-3. What's the thinking behind that this week?
I think sometimes there's games where you want to grow our team, and sometimes there's games where you desperately want to win. I think trying to win this game would mean a lot in the Rugby Championships for the last 2 rounds. And, not to say you want your best players on the field, you want your best players in the group possibly. And I think a guy like Salman Murat is very unlucky not to be in this team. So to unpack it, the two loose forwards on the bench, Peter Steff covers lock fast, so we can probably put on the two loose forwards somewhere. We will probably give you almost a 6-2 split momentum, if I say so, because Peter Steff is just a guy who can play 80 and 80 and 80. And we'll probably somewhere have to give him a rest. And then, obviously Kirtley is out. We don't forget the guys like Kanan, what they've done for us before. Mapimpi's got his wife's giving birth, and we don't want to keep him away from that. So that's why Kanan is in here, and we all know if you've not been long in the setup, then it takes a bit to get used to. But Kanan knows as well. He, as a 19-year-old boy, come onto the pitch against Australia away and had a magnificent game and is really playing well since. I think he's over all his injuries. And we feel it's a game where we definitely will have to match their speed in which they played last week, and we think having three backs on the bench will help in that regard.
Nathan?
I asked Coach Stick last week, does it put pressure on you to announce the team on Tuesday, especially with that situation with Eben? Then Don this week said we should ask you reasoning behind having that team selection on Thursday.
Yeah, the thing is, we don't always want to upset the media. We thought by announcing it on a Tuesday is better for everybody, for us as a team, because we announce it 8 o'clock Mondays internally, and then if you announce it on Tuesday, we felt all the speculations is out of there, and people can write about personal profiles and why we pick teams and give you a little bit more of an angle, and we've got nothing to hide. The Eben case, I really don't understand why people don't understand that. The guy was injured on Monday, he went for x-rays, they said it will probably be a 10-day a week thing, and then he just trained on a Monday, and that's the only reason why we did change the team on a Tuesday. Let's for the specific team, let's announce it on Thursday, then hopefully everybody's happy, and then next week we'll do our Tuesday thing again.
Rassie, just maybe on Sia, and on Saturday it looked like he had a fractured cheek. What exactly is his situation?
Yeah, he had two options. Again, I don't want to sound like a medical doctor, because I am not. He has two options. The one is it has to be reset. It's a nose fracture in here, and I don't want to name bones and stuff. Maybe I pronounce it wrong. But he can either get it placed back now, then he's out for 3 weeks, or the doc says he can wait 2 weeks and then put it back in place. And obviously, the bigness, the massive thing about this game, not just for the Rugby Championship, for us playing the All Blacks here at the Cape Town Stadium is a big one, and everybody wants to play there. I must say, I saw a few sad faces when we announced the team on Monday. I think Marku must be desperately disappointed, not because he would have played in Sia's place, because we didn't go for 6-2, but the guys handled it really well. I mean, Kobus, Mani, all the guys, Salman. If we went 6-2, Salman would have been in a mix. Even with 5-3, we thought of a lock and a loose forward. But you have the luxury of Peter Steff. And you see, I see Salman playing a lot of test matches for South Africa still. And I see him as a great captain. He's really somebody that brings something to the party. It's a calmness about him. It's a precision thing about him. It's a really great work ethic. So we've got a few guys that's unlucky. And just to answer the question in a long turn. But Sia he himself wanted the option to play now and get it reset in 2 weeks' time.
Stephen?
Rassie, can you maybe expand a little bit, please, on the half
halfbacks and fullback.
Yeah, again, we don't want to even forget about guys like Jaden, what he's done for us. Kobus had great runs for us. He played in the World Cup semi-final. Even Mani, I think, was the starting halfback pairing there, or 9 and 10 there. And then in the final, we went just with who? With what's his name? Faf and Andre, and we only had one guy on the bench. So. And we think Grant deserves a start. Every time when he comes up, he definitely brings speed to the game. But so did us Kobus. And the temptation was there again to start Jaden and have Mani to have that, that blitz speed when the guys are a little bit tired. But after thinking, we had a long discussion. After thinking about it, let's see how deep into the game he can keep on delivering that before we bring Jaden on.
Stephen?
Rassie, just how tough has it been on Mani the last few months? I mean, considering this is a guy who went to the World Cup as your starter number 10, and now he's very much out of that pecking order.
Yeah.
How's he been the last few months? Do you still see him playing Test match rugby in the future? And the relationship with Sasha, and how you see that unfolding with the Stormers? Sorry, quite a big question.
Yeah. Look, what they do at the Stormers is it's almost, I wouldn't say irrelevant. It's we will never tell a franchise coach where to play a guy. It's his salary, it's his income, it's their livelihood, it's their supporters base, it's their franchise that must make money and win. So we totally understand when they make decisions. It's even more interesting, when Damian Willems is fit. It's going to be Sasa, Damian Willems, and Mani. That's three great playmakers that you have in your team. So he's disappointed, but I think 3 years ago or 2 years ago, you would have been much more disappointed and you would have shown it. But he's not showing it, but he's competitive. All the guys are competitive, but we've got the theory that if we want to go to 2027, we must have a squad of 50. It will prolong a senior player's career. Definitely, if you play him a third match or second test match, and then give a guy 40 minutes, and then it's not arrogant at all. But if we want guys to go to the next World Cup who's in their 32s, then they can't play the next 4 test matches. The next 3 years of all the test matches, just for us to win, and then they bugger it at the World Cup. So Mani's there. Mani's probably one of the fittest guys, with the guys that extras on Wednesday. No, he's very positive, but it must be hurting a bit.
Moving?
I see, okay, well, just the elections of Willie, Fassi. I know you said you speak about unlucky guys. Fassi's another unlucky guy.
Yeah, Fassi was brilliant, and I think we asked him specifically to do well in the game, and the other things just do what you do naturally. I mean, I think his defense was rock solid. I think, his kicking game was good. I think his high ball game was good. Again, we've got a guy that's on 97 caps, playing with Andre. And I think there's 19 or 18 guys that was at the World Cup in this group. So I don't think we've been unfair on other guys, giving them exposure, and so we will keep on doing. And it's nice to do it while you're winning. The moment you do it while you're losing, it almost looks like a knee-jerk reaction or a not planned thing. So we've got a little bit of a plan how we want to run the next 3 years, and Fassi is definitely part of that plan.
Rassie, the All Blacks have made a few changes for Saturday. What have you made of their team, and how do you think they might play as a result of those changes?
Look, Sevu and Talia, these guys, I think the first try Sevu scored against us with that cross kick in New Zealand. He stepped Cheslin and after a cross kick from Richie, and he's just very dangerous. And Talia is the guy, physical, dangerous, legs are pumping all the time. Some picks and go from the middle of a ruck, So Jerry worked hard on not to stop individuals, but for the guys to know individuals. Because if you think you're just going to tackle them, normal tackle, they'll get away. And then the loose forward, I thought Caleb Clark anyway was fantastic, but he's injured, I think. And then what's his name? Todd's son, Ethan, yeah, I know Todd well. Ethan, he's unfortunately injured, so yeah, they had to make a change there. So I think we made 5 changes and they made 5 changes.
Justin?
And this one for you. Just speaking about an opportunity to once again wear that Springbok jersey. You've got a tough journey with regards to injury and that mental toughness to have to work really hard to overcome that and be back here. Can you just talk us through that thing?
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of weeks, months with the injury I had, but yeah, once you're not here, you know how special it is to be here. So you're very desperate to get back into it. So yeah, I think the mental toughness of it, just want to be back here again. So just pushing and doing all you can. Playing Currie Cup. Try to get match fit and all that. So yeah, doing everything I can to be back here. And yeah, this weekend I have an opportunity again. So yeah, very grateful for the opportunity and to show what I can do again.
Coach, just on the All Blacks again, what did you learn about them last week that you didn't know?
Yeah, I think what the world knows about them, it's just, look, it's a magnificent team. And maybe I used the wrong words in a post-match conference because it might have sounded a bit, but I think they were very unlucky. And they obviously are not winner on a high there after the loss to Argentina, but then the next game they thrashed them. And to come over here is like us for daunting going over to Australia. For them coming here, it's for us going to New Zealand is daunting, at Auckland or any of the stadiums there. And at 73 minutes, we were almost down and out. I remember us playing a test match there where we were 38-29, 15 points up at minute 75. And then they still scored 3 tries, not just 2, 3 tries. And I think our guys has learned a little bit from that, the moment you think you have them, you don't have them. They've got a lot to offer, not just strategically with their scrums are great, their mauls are great. They certainly matched us at the set phases very well. I thought the breakdown was a tight contest. The kicking game on both sides, I think they got 30 kicks and we 27 kicks. Caleb was good in the air and they were accurate with the kicking game. And then they've got these individual guys who from nothing does something, So it's a very difficult team to coach against, to play against, and their greatness will always be around them just because they've got really special players and coaches.
Gavin?
Rassie, just I know that these days you probably when a guy's not in the team it doesn't mean he's dropped.
No.
That's your policy. I'm just interested in because obviously Ben Jason's not there this week and I think he came back to France for this weekend. Just how do you think he's tracking? I mean, how did he get? He was quite hard on himself after last week.
Yeah, he shouldn't be, and I've told him. We had a chat about that. That's the thing about some test matches. New Zealand at Ellis Park is difficult. The hype, the crowd. You feel the crowd pressure both ways. I'm talking about the Springboks. When you're going well, it feels like they carry you over that trial line. When it's going not well, it's quiet, and it gets to some players. But I think he's going to play a lot of test matches for South Africa. He's definitely in the mix. He's definitely the next 7 flanker that we think can do it. But again, we wanted to go for 5-3, and Ulrich really did well when he came on. He had a great impact, and Ben Jason will probably play next week again.
Rassie, Jason mentioned yesterday that he felt that past Springbok teams, maybe a few years ago, might not have come back from that deficit on Saturday, and that you do work behind the scenes with the players around, what is the plan from here when you are behind. Can you just expand a little bit on that? And have you yourself seen a mindset change in this team?
Yeah, and I think when he says that, he included us as a group because we've been ahead but we've always been a team. I mean, New Zealand there, it was 12-3 once, and we got back and beat them the first time, I think in 2019 or something. New Zealand here we've lost when we were 15 points up. So our thing to try and stay on task what we planned shouldn't be influenced by emotions. And I think that's a big thing that we work on. And we almost didn't get it right on Saturday. But and if you look at this profile of this team, I think New Zealand's average age was 29 and our average age was 30. So it's 2 experienced teams They had 48 test caps per player, and we had 43 last week. I think we pipped in this week with Willie that starts and Andre that starts. But yeah, it's certainly something. We've got a session on Friday, what we call the what if session. And that's when we do the jersey handover. We don't get like in the past celebrities in or people to come and hand over the jerseys. We last week it was Tony Brown. You know, for him to coach against the All Blacks is, and with all respect, is exciting and it's nerve wracking. And when he hands over the jerseys there, you know, he would give nothing away. He respect. He told us so much about the haka, and it gives you a totally different respect for the haka. I'm talking about the players. He explained that it's an honor and what they are doing. Yeah, it's a challenge, but it's always listen. We are doing the haka for you as well, and that not help you face the haka and enjoy it. It helps you to understand the haka and what it means to them. And then when you take off your tracksuit, there's a different mindset before when Tony coached, hasn't coached us, because none of our coaches has ever known what the haka really means for New Zealanders. So, and it's not like it's secrets and he's giving out game plans of them, because it's just what it means and the emotional side and what we can take from that. So yeah, we discuss those things on Fridays when we hand over the jersey.
Kaniso?
Rassie, one question for you, one question for Kevin. First, just brief us how Sia went through training this week with the facial issue, and
Yeah.
are there any misgivings over how he sustained the injury? And for you, Kaden, you play your rugby at the Bulls, but you're from this part of the world. Just talk us through how excited you are to play Cape Town Stadium, most probably in front of a lot of friends and family.
Yeah, you can go on that one. And again, when we pick teams, I'll answer your first question, sorry. When we pick teams, you know, you try to keep that in mind. And I'm thinking about Salman when I talk that. And I'm thinking about Mani when I say that. You know, it almost sometimes emotionally throws you to one side, but you must unemotionally pick a team and see what is the best team for this specific game of what we want to achieve. And again, you know, Edwell is still injured. We could have moved Fassi to the wing probably, but and he will manage. But Kanan was from here, exactly what you're saying. And I think that does make it special. When I played in Bloemfontein for the Cheetahs in Bloemfontein, although it's not the biggest city, but it was a much better, not much better, it was a very warm, emotionally game for you personally. So yeah, Kanan, you can say, and then I'll also answer that CL one afterwards.
Yeah, it's very special. Yeah, I tried to keep it on the low for the week, but now the team's out, so probably gonna get some message for tickets.
None left.
Yeah, so but no, very special. I mean, yeah, growing up in Cape Town, you know, these are the games you thinking about when you're growing up. You know, running in the street, you know, thinking you're facing the All Blacks. So yeah, this is just a very special opportunity to play this weekend. Yeah, what a better place than Cape Town to do it.
And about Sia.
Sia's injury was obviously when Sam hit him. I will never forget. Sorry, I'm giving long answers, but I'll try to keep it serious. He broke his neck against us at Ellis Park in that big win. And I went and visited him on the Monday morning because New Zealand flew back. And I know I've had a jaw break twice in Sydney. I know how lonely it gets in a foreign country alone there. And you don't know how the medical aid work, how good the doctors are, and those kind of things. I went to visit him on a Monday. So we know each other a little bit closer than the normal All Blacks. You know, I had a coffee and stuff with him there in the bed. And you could see the guy was going through a tough time because a neck injury is probably something that can stop your career, or you know, you can get, you know, what is verlam? What is it you call that? Paralyzed. You can get paralyzed. You know, so he was obviously going through some emotional stuff there. And to be honest with you, I don't think he did any of that on purpose. I think a yellow card might have been appropriate, or penalty would have been appropriate. But he came afterwards and I said to him, listen, we're not going to cite. We're not going to cite you on that because you have 12 hours to cite. And if the citing commissioner obviously pick it up and he thinks it meets the red card threshold, they call it, then they investigate it. But they went through everything, and that specific one didn't come up as a breaking the red card threshold. So and he came and apologized, and When you look at the action, a little bit lower, but I don't think he went for Sia's head with his head because it was actually not the shoulders, actually the head hitting him on the nose. So, no, sometimes it goes for you and sometimes it goes against him. That poor guy was red carded in the World Cup final. Wouldn't have been nice to get red carded again.
And how did Sia get to training?
Oh, Sia's, the question was to Sia on Sunday. After they did all the scans. So, Sia, will you be half-hearted going into contact? You know, because your nose is sore and it's swelled up and the cheekbone is blown out. And he said, no, well, let's go see now. So that's why we didn't even want to mention it on Tuesday morning, because Sia had to get through Monday. Internally, we announced the team with him starting / Marco. But then on Monday evening, he did all the contact sessions. Tuesday, he went right through. And today on Thursday, I can tell you, he didn't show any. The only problem would have been if he's hesitant. It can't break further. It has to be put back in place. Yeah, might look like Kwacha.
Greg, you can go.
Rassie, as to Gavin's point, your selections are often decided. You have a very good idea what the team's going to look like weeks in advance. But last week the attack didn't quite fire. Sort of in first phase play. The tries all came sort of from balls and so on. Is Billy's inclusion a reaction to that, or was that always part of it?
I think Willy's calm head in a big test match here. Andre's calm head in a big test match here. Look, Sasha, what Sasha can do is, Sasha reminds me a lot of Carlos Spencer, like Mani does. He's a very reliable goal kicker, Sasha. Andre is a very reliable goal kicker. And if our attack is not working, we must remember who we're playing against. It's been working very good up until, I think we New Zealand are now on the same amount of tries in the tournament so far. I'm talking under correction if Z can look it up there. So defense also makes it tough, for Barrett and Ione and those guys who play there. They also know probably a lot about Tony Brown and the way he sees the game. And like they scored 4 tries. One was, what's his name, Damien, giving it to them. With Barrett reading it really well after we did the same move 3 times in a row. The Maul try was technically this Jasper, who hasn't been part of us for a while, and I thought he had a really good game. And the other tries were well organized New Zealand tries. From turnovers are really difficult to defend against. So, but we worked really hard on that, and I think Jerry is on top of that. Not to say they won't come here and score 4 tries. Then we'll just have to score 5.
Rassie, can you talk about how the players are adapting to the new style of rugby that Tony's bringing to the back line and the merits of having Caden on the wing with his height and the high ball?
Yeah, I said it a few times. I'll say it again. Caleb is not playing. But Sivu is, and what's his name is pretty solid under the high ball, and then when they get the ball, they make they cause damage. Felix Jones he laid the foundation there. Felix got in the you must be able to pass 100 passes before gym. In the morning you wake up, and I think he gave a baseline product, if I can put it that way, to Tony to just work on mindset and running lines and how to keep your feet a little bit, how to get the pass away a little bit quicker. And I think there were 3 or 4 tries. I think Fashi just played on the inside, I think the ball curtly kicked through after Sasha's cross kick when he grabbed it. He could have just dived over and scored it there. Cheslin had one on the other side. It could have been easily 1 or 2, 3 tries more for us, but also for them. So I think it's good to do 2 good defenses that test the attack. So we seldom score 3 tries against the All Blacks, so that's also not too bad. But as he calls it, he's got a nice way. When Felix was here and Terry was here, you catch on to the Irish slang or the Irish twang or what you want to call it. And the way he puts it, is I want to call bullshit that we can't do this. And then he shows us, and then we trust him. And yeah, that's as he put it, he's growing our attack. He wants to grow it, and I think the players really, really enjoy it.
Last two English questions, Adnan and John.
Yeah, Rassie, how much do we know about Wallace Satiti and the scum of Letterman? Just Tony maybe give me a little bit of insight on them.
Yeah, we've got Perry, Perry and Lindsay, who's our analyst. Their jobs is to build profiles on every single player of the opposition. My job is to follow them on Twitter to see what they show, what they don't show, and then the players do their homework. I'm pretty sure if you ask him that question, he'll tell you exactly. So yes, I know, and I know it's such a big test match for New Zealand. If those are the players that Razor wanted to pick, he knows something about their character and what they can do. When you see a player, you just see his actions. You don't know how desperate he is. What's his big match temperament, or will he go into his challenge in a game, or will he stay chest out making plans? Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about the individual players here, but they're obviously class.
Rassie, sometimes it's hard to back up a big performance after a big win.
Yeah.
Has there been a big talking point this week after what happened? You at the World Cup after you guys beat France, there was a little bit of a dip. Ireland series, if you at the same level the next week, has there been a big talking point?
Yeah, it is definitely, you're spot on. It's a fact. But again, you play Ireland, number 2 team in the world. Everybody says they must be number 1. You drew the series with a drop goal in the last minute. So if you missed it, was the guys up for the game? Yes, we were up for the game. And we would have won it. So we try to make the decisions non-emotional and go and break it down to departments and see how we go. But certainly, my thinking and the coaches and the medical team and the SNC team is to, some guys, when you get to a certain age, you feel I am ready for this test match, this next test match. But we all lose hair and we all get grey. Nobody gets faster as they get older. And sometimes that player tells himself, I'm ready. And that's also one of the reasons why we mix up all the time, to try and see can we get over that hurdle of not backing it up. And that's one of the reasons why we made 5 changes, because we certainly stick with some players and they themselves really think they're up for the game, and then in the match, the first 5 minutes, they get a shock. And that's when you get older, I think that's part of the reason. And we've explained it to the players and said, listen, we want to see this now. It's going to be very tough to beat New Zealand in Cape Town. There's no altitude here. Say they enjoy it here. They really like to come here, but we love it. And we like to come here. And we play here many times. And I've played here. So yes, I think we will be up for the game and not catch out sleeping.